Good afternoon and welcome to CompanyRoots. Today I'm interviewing Mr. Stephen Gordon, the president of Lemonade Day, who has over 30 years of startup and business experience. Lemonade Day is a nonprofit that holds events to teach America's youth entrepreneurship and leadership skills through the process of running a lemonade stand. Mr. Gordon, it is a privilege, and I'm truly honored to interview you today. My name is Raul Kavuru. I'm a sophomore at St. Paul School in New Hampshire, and I'm the president of CompanyRoots. The first question that we always ask is, what are your own company roots and how do they help you in shaping your ideas and becoming the person you are today?
Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, I feel very connected to what I do. In fact, what I'm doing now is really an extension of all the things that I got to do when I was younger. I immigrated to the US in the mid-70s. And within a couple months of being here, I recognized that, I was going to need to provide some of my own sweat into making sure that our family could survive. Back in the day, as an immigrant, there wasn't a lot of resources. So, and I still believe it's the same way today, but I figured out very quickly at the age of 12 that I needed to contribute. And I started by cutting grass. I was lawns with a lawnmower and then learning how to edge with a shovel. And soon I was asked to clean people's pools. And then I was painting houses. Didn't know anything about painting a house, but I figured it out. Luckily, the person who owned the house was waiting to flip it, and that's how I learned. But from a very young age, I recognized how important having a business or being an entrepreneur was to the rest of my life. And I got involved later on in life with my oldest daughter when she attended a special school for kids with learning and language differences. And I got involved with early intervention and understanding how that works with children. Put the two together. My love for working with youth and intervention with entrepreneurship, and I found Lemonade Day. And this for me is a pay it forward, because along the way I had incredible mentors. My mother, who started a business on her own and was very successful. My father, who at a young age left his country of birth and started a whole new business. And then family and friends and men and women who shaped me, who provided me leadership, who provided me with insight, who cared for me. And I want to be able to pay that forward and project that in what we do in Lemonade Day. And I have that chance. I've met my destiny, which is doing what I love.
That's
So
awesome.
I feel very blessed.
So for viewers who might not have heard about Lemonade Day, can you please explain more about it and what exactly is your mission?
Our mission is to make sure that every child in America, all over the world as well, gets to experience financial literacy, business literacy, and gets to have an opportunity to live their dream, which we believe is owning your own business at any stage. And the definition of what that business can be is really up to you. But the idea is that everybody should have an opportunity to have that entrepreneurial experience. And to be able to do that, we deliver that in a way that's fun and it's inviting and it's experiential. So the program that we provide is curriculum-based, but it has no barriers. Anybody can get involved at any level, but come out of it with a very solid understanding of how business is run. And that way, we understand that given a really strong opportunity to understand the elements of how businesses start and run, you can successfully run your own business, leading to the creation of more businesses. And that's really why we do what we do, because businesses right now are failing faster than businesses are starting.
Yeah.
And this decline started in the 70s. And if we are working really hard to create a movement to make sure that this new business replenishment really gets a good start. And it's your generation that's going to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. So for everyone to be successful, we all know there's a great role model behind it. So who is your inspiration or mentor for your success, and how do they impact you and develop your love for humanity?
Well, I've got to say that my mother and my grandmother played a very big role when I was young. I mean, they shaped my idealism about volunteering. My mother was a tireless volunteer, and so was my grandmother. Both were professionals. My grandmother was an architect and an artist. My mother was an artist and a florist. And in my early formative years, it was about hard work. It was actually physically doing work, and that gratification that they got from the expression of individuality and artistic um, expression really appealed to me. I really thought I was going to be an architect, always did. And then my grandfather, both my grandparents, grandfathers were professionals. One was an attorney and one was a doctor scientist who invented incredible medical devices. And I learned a lot from him: perseverance, thinking outside of the box, and failure. He failed a lot. He made a lot of things that didn't work, but it never stopped him from trying. My grandfather, who was an attorney, would always take on the folks that nobody would want to represent. And so he built an incredible practice, but both of them had a streak of humanity. They always fought for this, for the small people. They always fought for the things that were the most difficult, but also always persevered. So that stayed with me. So as I grew up and I got through college and I went and worked for my own job, I used to seek out mentors, people who could help me. My father played a huge role in how I felt about business and about working hard. Another person that was in my life was my wife's father, who was the most incredible entrepreneur, and he taught me about definitely the idea that success is about the people that you work with, and that you really are there in a leadership role, but the people that work for you are the ones that create the success. So to be humble, to be a leader, to serve as a leader came through very close, either family contacts for the most part, or from people that I did business with.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good quality in life, to be networking and then meeting new people as you go who are very like-minded as you.
Right.
Um,
And that's true because you're going to make a decision on a path that you're going to take. And in Lemonade Day, one of the things that we do teach as well is this 40 developmental assets that was created by the Search Institute. This is sort of the nutrients around about the way we make decisions. And these decisions are like coming to the fork in the road. What's the right decision? Am I going to go left? Am I going to go right? And I think through our life, we're faced with these decisions and making the right decision. And if we think about healthy decisions, about how we affect other people and how that may affect other people's lives, I think ultimately we're going to make the right decisions.
yeah.
So yeah, it's very important to be seeking out mentors, and it's very important to network, as you said. That's very important to your career.
Yeah, definitely. So aside from Lemonade Day, you currently volunteer at the parish school and are currently the president of the board of trustees. So how would you describe the impact you made there, and describe some experiences you had from the school?
Well, this is one of the privileges of being a volunteer. You get to work with some of the most incredible professionals. I'm lucky to say that this school is one of very few schools in the whole world that is focused on getting kids through the understanding of how they can um, be their best advocates for themselves. So the school has a system of teaching to the child. And what I love about this is, and my role as a board person is that, and a lay person, is that the experts that run the school have always carried through the mission from the founders, which is making sure that every child is successful. And so that everything that they do at the school is around making sure that kids as early as possible can transition back into regular schools. So it's an upside down model for school. A school usually tries to keep kids all the way through, I mean, financially and for stability. But our idea is to, as quickly as we can get the kids to assimilate and be able to learn a new way of learning and to overcome their obstacles, is to move on. So being able to carry on that philosophy of the school and to be able to work with professionals at such a high level is very gratifying. And it does change lives. So when you actually work for an organization that actually changes the lives of families and children, where there is no other resort, is really powerful. I got to say, it's the most satisfying thing I've ever done as a volunteer, when you work with children and families.
Yeah, and I think that's really great about what you do is like you do both the volunteering to save their lives, and then in Lemonade Day, you kind of enrich them with new entrepreneurship and leadership skills.
Well, and you're exactly right. And I think a lot of this is, we think about children, but there's a whole ecosystem that's involved. It's the health of the family and it's the health of the community. And if we went around life never giving back, well, what would the future be?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard this before, but my father said to me, and even heard it from my grandparents: leave the world a better place than you find it. Well, that takes a lot of work, but if we all did that, what a great world this would be.
Yeah.
I'm sort of nostalgic in that way. I think that we as humans and as leaders of businesses and organizations have a role to play in that regard for community.
Yeah. So moving on to like more the business side of Lemonade Day,
Mhm.
when you guys typically hire, what qualities do you guys look for in your team members?
That's a great question. So we really consider ourselves as a team. So chemistry is really important.
Mhm.
So obviously, when I'm hiring somebody, I'm looking for somebody who has a passion for working with youth education. It starts there. I mean, you've got to have a love for that, because that's what we're bound about. We're about making change. Um, then I would look, and it's not so important what I read on the paper, on a piece of paper or in a resume. It's getting to know somebody. So I have a multi-step method. We're always seeking talent. Doesn't mean that we always have a position, but there's always something that we're looking for. We do accept internships. We do volunteer work. The way that our organization is structured is I'm in the corporate, which let's say is the national office, and we provide all the services to license holders. So in 84 markets across North America, Bermuda, Puerto Rico, Canada, we have licensees who operate Lemonade Day in the field. Now, they all are seeking help and assistance in different ways. But speaking from a corporate perspective, what we're looking for is people that can really contribute and contribute at a very high level, and are very good at work. And what we talk about is in teams, was we have a very small, very flat entrepreneurial nonprofit. Most of us do a lot of things, and we get involved with a lot of each other's work and help each other. So we have a very collaborative office environment, and we're very flexible. That's the key for our success of our organization.
Yeah. So Lemonade Day must have a few competitors who also specialize in youth entrepreneurship through various programs. So what exactly would you say is the biggest trait that puts Lemonade Day as the front runner in the field?
An excellent question. The basis of our program is really around experiential um, opportunity. So you can take a curriculum or you can take a program and you can put it behind glass, a computer screen, right? Or you can create an app or whatever it is. But once you've figured out the delivery, it's how the kids actually interact with the program. And what makes Lemonade Day so successful is that we actually get kids to take the lessons and use real world application. That's the key. It's that real world application. So what you're learning is actually applied and you get to practice it. It's not just a pitch to potential investors, because we do that. We actually teach you how to pitch, because you need a lender, right? So every business has got to have a lender for the most part. And you got to pay it back, the lender, with interest. We teach all that too. But the idea is that you get to actually practice what you're learning, and you go and start a business. You put it to test. You risk your experience, and you go out there and and the other key thing that makes Lemonade Day so special is that the money earned stays with the learner. So the youth who does Lemonade Day gets to keep the profit,
Mhm.
but you also have to live with the fact that if you don't have any profit and you end up with a loss, that's part of the risk of a business. But there's a learning experience. But I'd say, generally speaking, most of our kids, if not all of them, make a profit doing Lemonade Day.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
So within Lemonade Day, what type of work are you involved in on a day-to-day basis in the office?
So I'm making sure that we're hitting our targets, that we have the resources in the right place at the right time, that we're scheduling our rollouts of new products and services. As a national office that's providing IP and network services and um, websites and all the assets that our cities need to be successful, we're constantly evolving and creating new assets. And my role is to make sure that we're talking to the right people about supporting us.
Mhm.
And I spend a lot of time fundraising. So as a national director, that's a lot of what I do. I work with my team on fundraising. I talk to other organizations that you can maybe consider, like you said, competitors, but we're all working hard in this space. Doesn't matter. We may be competitors, but we're all out for the same goal to make sure the kids are educated. But it's those conversations that make networks. And a lot of those conversations are around how we can work together and how we can find collaboration, working with foundations and approaching foundations for support. And media, a lot of work with the media. And then, of course, something that I started about 2 years ago, which was advocacy, working with state and federal level to make sure that kids have an opportunity to actually start their businesses, because there are a lot of laws that are very antiquated that remain in place. And so dealing with legislators and writing about how we should be changing the law.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to current high school students on how they should build their own network?
Oh, well, you've got to get out there.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is find events and opportunities that, well, right now, this is a strange conversation because, here we are. We would do this on Zoom, but now you need to reach out on Zoom.
Yeah.
I would recommend a LinkedIn account.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you've got to be old enough to do it, but I would make any kind of effort to find people that are in your sphere of interest, of something that you really want to go after, and reach out and ask for advice. When young people do contact me, I'll always respond, because you never know who you're going to meet and what influence that may provide for you. And with Lemonade Day, the young people that have completed Lemonade Day with us and have gone on to be funded on Shark Tank, started their own social cause nonprofits, for-profit nonprofits, we continue to go back to them and make videos for us and speak for us. We've taken them to Washington, D.C. to meet senators. So you just don't know, right? But I would say find the channels that most suit the direction that you want to go in. Widen it a little bit, don't narrow it too much, and just reach out and be prepared for people not to respond. That's okay. That's not a reflection on you, but persistence. A wise mentor told me, it's not no until you've asked 10 times. For real.
Yeah.
That was his strategy.
And that also happened like when we were starting CompanyRoots, we used to email a ton of people, but we didn't get that many responses. And I think the biggest thing we learned from that is to keep trying until you succeed.
Absolutely. You know what? Failure is part of learning, and you've heard this before. But failure doesn't mean complete failure. A failure can be the smallest of things. But I guarantee you it's a safe place, because before you start owning and running a business, when you have employees and all the other things, those failures become, pretty important. But right now, this is about creating that sphere of influence that can help you. And you never know where it's going to take you. And when things do return to normal, be looking for events that you can attend, and be the one that asks a good question. I learn more about the questions that people say to me, or the questions they ask me, than the answers that they give me. Sometimes the questions are more important.
So where do you see Lemonade Day in 10 years?
Well, our dream is to make sure that 1 million kids a year get to participate in Lemonade Day. We are building towards that. And now that's across the world. Now, if we can get 1 million kids every year to be successful at doing what we teach, this would change the projection of our country, of the world, because that would really start a lot of new businesses, and we could make a dent in hunger. We could make a dent in poverty. It would really be phenomenal. So 10 years from now, where I see Lemonade Day all over the world and millions of kids participating.
That'd be awesome. So we always end the interview off on the same question. What advice would you give to the current generation of high school students that would like to start the process to make a positive impact on society, including solving a multitude of problems that makes people's lives better? And how would you recommend they start this process?
That's a really big question. I really think, it's about being imaginative. I think there's always an opportunity to do something better. You may think that everything's been invented, there can't be anything there, but look around. What could be done better? What could be done to serve humankind? What could we do that would make a difference in the lives of those least served? And start there, because if you can affect those that need it the most, it works its way up,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll change the world. So start with an idea and flushing that idea out with your friends. taking polls. Before you dive in deep into something, just ask questions.
Yeah.
And that's the sphere of your influence of the people that you've met, those mentors that you've been reaching out to, friends and family, and push yourself to find something that's creative. And I think most importantly, find something that's of interest to you that may be a little harder to solve now, but technology will make it easier in the years to come. But we are still in formative years of figuring things out. I mean, we're right now in this COVID-19 situation. We're wondering, well, what's it going to take to create an antidote? What's it going to take to create um, um, a way to solve this medical problem? And there are hundreds of thousands of people working on it right now, but the problem hasn't been solved just yet. This just goes to prove how complex our world is and how there's an opportunity for all of us to create something great.
Yeah. Thank you. So today we were able to interview Mr. Stephen Gordon. Thank you so much, and it was an honor and a privilege.
Mine too. Thank you very much. Good luck.